The flower's dying. It needs water.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now, please. Let me be.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
This hospital seems to be falling.
Damn.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Beauty is not everything, Mr. Elwood.
Says Mr. Prettyface.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on.
Beauty is not everything.
Says Mr.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. Daily routine.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful. It never ceases to amaze me how you seem peaceful and lost at the same time.
Filthy fucking bitch!
I said stay away, sir! Over there! There's one of them vermin! Fled! Stay back, beast! Come on! Bloody! I ought here to step back!
Are you all right, Miss Shun?
My name is Xiao Shun. This is the proper way to address someone in my country.
I do apologize, Xiao Shun. Are you all right?
Yes, I am. This is the only place where I can find some kind of serenity. Some way to remember my dear Matthew.
Tell me how your husband died, Xiao Shun.
Matthew died of the Spanish flu, like so many others. It's a mundane cause of death these days, but for me it meant the end of the world.
At this time, there is so little medical science can do to defeat this terrible epidemic. I'm truly sorry.
The worst thing is not his death, even if it tears me apart. The worst is not to have seen it coming, to have lost him so quickly, even before realizing it.
Did he hide his condition from you?
Matthew was a smiling type, a happy sort. Everything that I am not. Did he laugh at his death to come, or did he not realize what was going to happen? I'll never know.
The Spanish flu may be the worst disease mankind has ever faced. Why are you blaming yourself?
You don't understand. I didn't know he was so sick. I didn't realize the gravity of his situation until it was too late.
As harsh as this sounds, we are all equally vulnerable to this awful disease. It can take the strongest man in just a couple of days.
I never said goodbye to Matthew. We never realized how bad it was. We laughed about it even. He always made me laugh. Now I don't have enough tears to shed.
Are you on your own? Do you have any friends or family who you could be with?
I have family and friends, but I need to be here alone. One day maybe I'll go back to them, but not now. I need silence, and I need sadness.
Sadness can be a terrible trap. It can entangle you and weaken your heart if you let it control your thoughts.
Thank you for your sincere words, Dr. Reed. I sense you trying to help me, even if I don't quite understand why.
Are you a doctor yourself? Is this why you feel so guilty for not saving your sick husband?
No, I am not. But I still need to blame someone for Matthew's death. And who else, if not his wife, who did not see it coming?
I'm a physician, one of the best in the country. But I was unable to save my own sister, Mary. She died in my arms.
Why tell me this? Is it supposed to make me feel better?
She will rest in this cemetery forever. And I'll spend eternity hoping that she can forgive me.
May I ask what caused the death of your sister?
You could say she was also killed by a terrible disease. A disease I have sworn to fight and cure, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Dr. Reed. Maybe it's time we start to rebuild our lives, you and I.
You realize you can't stay here forever, don't you? Eventually, you'll have to leave the cemetery.
Why? Why should I go? Since this is the only place I can find peace of mind.
To be honest, I don't know. Please forgive me if I've upset you. We must all honor our departed loved ones in our own way.
You sound like you're no stranger to the pain I feel.
Let's just say, I too have a good reason to visit cemeteries at night.
Please accept my condolences for your loss then, Dr. Reed.
You should go home now.
I think you're right. Cemeteries are for the dead, for they need silence too. Thank you for your honesty and your wisdom, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your company, Xiaoshun. Take care on the way home.
Maybe I'll see you again in Whitechapel. Goodbye for now.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
My only relief is that my Matthew died before seeing the madness that approaches. I'm afraid we won't survive this trial, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye for now.
Matthew. The world has gone completely mad.
Leech spotted! Watch out, boys! Oh, Christ! Over there! There's one of them!
gun against malevolence and trickery.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
Don't you hear the trumpets? The apocalypse is upon us, Dr. Reed. The final battle.
Tell me the reason why you despise Joseph Larrabee so much, Tobias.
A faithless shepherd is the worst criminal, for he leads his flock to the abyss by disregarding the right path. God smote this man, for he doubted.
I only met him briefly, but he seemed a dedicated man who tried to provide guidance.
Do you not believe in punishment, my son? I am not talking about the law of men. I am talking about judgment from heaven.
I believe in the logical and factual organization of everything in the universe. God, if he exists, is just a principle waiting to be discovered.
Armageddon is upon us, Dr. Reed. The final battle where every soul will be weighed. I'm afraid yours will burn for a long time.
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself. The proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime, and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Pay me a glass of Alvin Jet. Pay me a bottle and Alvin Nasty.
Best turn around if I were you.
Is more peaceful without the bombs, but no less dangerous.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed of the Pembroke Hospital. May I be of assistance?
Dr. Reed. So it's you who saved my friend Oswald. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
And you are?
Newton Blight. Oswald and I recently returned from the war.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we're in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you can talk him round.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
They started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
Are you concerned about the living conditions in the city?
Of course I am. I'll be stuck here for as long as Oswald refuses to go to hospital. And, unfortunately, it seems the violence is rising.
What kind of violence?
I believe people have armed themselves and started to attack those that show signs of contagion.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself. Hello again, Mr. Thatcher. Do you feel any better now?
Yes, this neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the purest mountain air.
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an official diagnosis?
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Oswald, why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about was their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being enclosed, Mr. Thatcher?
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would help to talk about it.
Well, Doctor, take a guess then, if you're so interested in my case.
When I rescued you, you expressed joy at seeing the sky again. So I'm inclined to believe you were trapped or buried somehow. Maybe during a shelling.
Jeez, you're good, Doc. You're really good.
Go on, please. Tell me more about it.
Newton and I were trapped in a circulation tunnel after an artillery attack. We were buried alive for several days without ever knowing if we'd be found.
Oswald, tell me about what happened when you were buried in that tunnel with Newton.
It was more than dark. It was black as pitch. Hours seemed like days, and days like months. The terror, the shameful thoughts. Lord have mercy.
What you endured was terrifying. It would have completely destroyed weaker men.
It did not destroy Newton.
Shameful thoughts. Tell me about them.
At some point, I don't remember which day, but when I thought we'd never be rescued, that this would be our end, I thought about...
Say it, Mr. Thatcher. If you ever want to heal, you have to say it.
I thought about what I could do to survive. Just for a few more days. I thought about killing Newton. Killing and eating him. The man I fucking love.
Tell me about your true feelings for Newton.
I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without him.
Why should you be ashamed?
I'm not, I said. But Newton sees it differently.
I admire your honesty. It takes courage to stand up to society. The world needs people like you to create change.
Courage is what we needed in the trenches, looking death in the face every day. I speak plain. I speak my mind.
Have you always been this straightforward?
All I know is, before you saved me by the sewer, my only regret was I wouldn't be able to hold or kiss Newton again. I love him, that's all.
Are you concerned about the conditions here in London?
Not really. Sick people, men in arms, fighting every night. I already faced all this during the war.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself. Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. You doing your rounds as usual?
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
I love him. I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other. But I am terrified, Doctor.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, never thought I'd love a man.
Enjoy your love. And enjoy life as long as you can, Mr. Blight. Don't let anyone tell you who you should love or how you should love them.
I appreciate your kind words, sir. But it ain't that easy. It's all so new to me.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. Surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see? Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
Over there! There's one of them burning!
You must prepare, child, for the earth is bleeding and the harvest is upon us.
Stay away! Whoever you are!
This is no time for petty quarrels, my champion. Can you not hear? The famished queen has awoken.
I am not your champion.
But of course you are, son. As surely as you are the blood of my blood.
I had to kill Mary.
I have known your pain, child. Do not succumb to...
Silence! I dismiss you, now!
The land calls for a champion. All and everyone needs you.
Silence!
I'm tired of all these puppet shows. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
Not really. I think I caught something in this bloody hospital. I swear I'm dead, yet smiling inside, Dr. Reed.
As long as you remain here, I will make sure you don't have to worry about your health.
Don't think you can do much about it. Damage is done.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Damn. The pain. Clear again.
Oh, sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
But in the circumstances...
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
Really? Why has no one else asked me that since I got here? I thought I was in a hospital.
Unfortunately, you are not the only person who needs help. And complaining about it won't do you any good.
Well, perhaps you're right, Dr. Reed. I'm sure if me missus was still alive, she wouldn't be happy with me going on like this.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Oh, sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Do you require medical attention as well, Mrs. Goswick?
Do you know you're the only one who's asked me this? No. I don't feel well, actually.
Despite what you think about this place, I can tell you with absolute certainty, taking this will help you recover.
Well, at least your reputation seems well-deserved. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for this hospital.
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening. What has you so worried?
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible.
He's not out of the woods yet, you know. He might need to stay here longer than expected.
Take care of him then, Dr. Reed. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry my poor Mortimer will be neglected.
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did you hide such crucial information?
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown in jail. I can't let that happen. I won't.
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs is help and comprehension. not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have done.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Do you realize your son could try to kill himself again? He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
You always knew the words to calm the children.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No. I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair, while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
Don't you see how lucky you are? You're rich, you're in good health, and you have a loving mother. You're simply drowning in self-pity.
Leave me alone then, Doctor, and let me drown myself.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
My sweet girl.
With you at our side, Dr. Reed, I know that Pembroke will prevail and survive this epidemic.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm capable of dealing with this myself. I've just not taken the time to do so.
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Do you think Dr. Strickland has any chance of curing the Spanish flu by himself?
His wish to cure the sick is not driven by pride, but by an idealistic view about our mission here. Honestly, I don't know which is worse.
You consider him a good practitioner, yet you will not report his methods.
Strickland may be a rival, but I will not use dirty tricks or regulations to prove him wrong. We are doctors, not politicians.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Did you know Dr. Ackroyd never reported your experimental research, despite the fact he doesn't agree with it?
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself the danger of what you're doing.
See how condescending he can be? My God, he can be so irritating.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Do you need any medical help, Milton?
I'm afraid I do. Like everyone in this hospital. It's a sad state of affairs when even the hospital workers are worried about disease.
Our job brings us into contact with all kinds of infections, Milton. There's no shame in being ill while you're in a hospital.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. I get the feeling you don't fall sick often. But thanks, anyway.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Do you require medical assistance, Nurse?
I will be fine, as soon as I can get some sleep.
Nurse, you won't be able to help people if you're sick. Take this, and do try to get some rest.
I'll try, Dr. Reed. Thank you.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Do you need medical attention?
Well, the proximity of the dead is not the most healthy company, even if the quiet can be appreciated.
Don't take too many risks with your health, Mr. Chidana. None of us are immune to this disease.
And that is a good thing. Death and disease is a constant reminder of our mortality. But you have my thanks, Dr. Reed.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Supposed to be an hospital. A peace forest.
Someone had me You again. What do you want?
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal life, aren't you?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Have you heard anything about Sean Hampton's shelter?
It used to be a safe place. I'm not sure that's the case anymore.
Are you worried about the conditions in London?
I've heard rumours about some sort of militia patrolling, killing the sick. The wet boot boys are overrun.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby. Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Have you got any news about Sean Hampton's shelter?
Rumour has it he's started some sort of gang of his own. Soldiers of Christ, something like that.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
The bodies are piling up, but I'm not afraid. I'm still alive, and I intend to stay that way.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have.
I think I'm losing my mind.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Have you got any recent news on Sean Hampton's shelter?
I've not seen him since he came back to the docks. Rumour has it he's converted his flock to some sort of cult. That's unbelievable.
Are you concerned about the sanitary situation?
It may surprise you, but I'm not. I've heard about the men-at-arms and the fights between gangs at night, but that's nothing new.
I wish I shared your optimism.
It's not optimism. Gangs have been fighting in this part of town since before I was born. This war will stop when enough blood has been spilled.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
I should have offered a drink to the boy. Being cursed or not, he's just... To every night, a darkness, and every dawn, another death.
This is no place for a gentleman. Oh, you! Stop there!
Link spotted! Watch out, boys!
Over there! There's one of them vermin!
No civilians allowed, sire.
Good evening, sir. I'm glad to see you safe.
I am not safe. I should never have come back here. My life is in danger. I know it.
You're much safer here than in that contaminated area.
Bullets kill people quicker than diseases and epidemics, Dr. Reed.
Do you have recent news of Hampton's shelter?
No. I try to stay away from shelters and obvious places. Who knows who may be spying and trying to spot me there?
What can you tell me about this district?
The East End docks only knows one rule. Dog eat dog, and blood calls for blood. The gang will have their revenge on me one way or another.
What can you tell me about the locals?
Most people would say that Sean Hampton and Tom Watts are good men who try to sort things out. But for me, the real boss around there was my best friend, Jack Gillingham.
Jack Gillingham, you say?
Everyone round there knew Jack. He was a rock. A mountain, even. He feared nothing.
Your friend Jack has something to do with you fleeing to the contaminated area where I found you. I want to know more.
Jack is dead. That's all you need to know. Dead because of me. So much violence. So much sorrow. All of that because I refused to be insulted again.
If you really believe you started all this mess, then face it. Take responsibility and stop hiding.
Jack told me once that a real hero does not seek the ordeal, for it is the ordeal itself that reveals the true hero. I now know he was right.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
Not really. I've spent so many days hiding to escape retaliation from the Wet Boot Boys. Now that there's so much chaos, they might forget about me.
Goodbye, Mr. Grader. Take care. Good evening, young man.
There's no need to call me that, Dr. Reed.
Show me what you have to offer then, Mr. Nightingale.
Fuck, it's fast!
I cannot enter. It's locked.
We're at your mercy. Will you end us?
Have you found the answers you were looking for, young Ekon?
There is too much left unanswered. So many questions.
Get to know us. Spend time with us. And I may be willing to answer more questions.
Thank you, old Bridget. I hope we'll meet again. What on earth happened here?